Ship Happens, the show where crew tell their experiences of working on cruise ships, hosted by Jimmy Crew and Jolly Roger. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Ship Happens. I'm here with Jolly Roger and I'm Jimmy Crew, and we're going to tell you on this episode the amazing ports of call, which is probably like the most interesting part of anybody that wants to go sailing, especially the guests, of course, but also for crew members because you have all these ships all around the world. And every time you start a contract, you're very curious to see what ship you're going to get assigned to, and the ports you get to visit. So I know with Jolly Roger, he had to deal with a lot of crew members that were always trying to get to a certain ship or go to a certain place, just to be have an amazing itinerary, right?
Right, that is true, and I have to say the survey we used to from the HR side, we did occasionally some survey, about crew welfare and what crew member thinks and they want to change or something. And one of these questionnaires was what was your main reason to join the ship, right? And I
Hmm.
have to say majority of answers was about money. People want to make money
Of
because for some
course.
countries this is very
Number
good
one.
money. Number one, but very closely number two, second reason was I just want to travel. I just want to see the
Right.
world because
And
not only that you
yeah, right, continue, sorry.
no, I mean, not only that, if people need to understand this, not only that we get to travel, but we get paid to travel. I mean, there's no expenses. You even earn some money and you see these amazing places. And again, as you mentioned, right, each ship, and there's like, I don't know, I think like 200 cruise ships with like 20 cruise lines or something in the world, and some are world cruises. Some ship cruise are like all around the globe for like 3 months. Some are short, like 2 and 3 days, about Bahamas and some little islands. But still, everything is very interesting. And then the main goal for the crew member is to switch as many ships during their career as possible, right? So they can get to see all these amazing places that you will never dream that you will see, right? And
Yes, and for
so
crew
so
members, there's also all those jokes that you finally get your assigned ship, and it's like a 3-day cruise to Nassau and Freeport, which is probably the
this
least
is the
popular
worst.
ports. But
Yep.
I mean, I actually enjoyed Nassau. That was one of my first actually stops when I first started working, and I enjoyed it. You just have to like explore and see more in depth, like of the city or the country you visit. But
What did
like
you
you said,
explore in Nassau? Please explain.
oh my gosh, it was amazing. I mean, you have Atlantis Hotel. There was a new hotel that just
Yeah,
opened up,
beside
which is
Atlantis.
Bahamar, which is right across from Atlantis, which is bigger and nicer. But
Oh,
then you also
okay.
have little boutique hotels. One of them is the one that's freaking by Guy Harvey, who's an artist that actually Guy Harvey on one company of cruise lines is the designer of the front of the ship. So you know how some ships have some art in the
Yes, yes.
outside around the ship. So Guy Harvey is an artist, I believe, from Florida that actually moved to Nassau, and he
Hmm.
designs some of the paintings on a cruise line. So if you see some of those
Oh,
ships, you can see some of his artwork, and it's actually signed by him. So I discovered this place because on the ship, we used to go there, and after a while, of course, you get tired because as soon as you get off the ship, you have all the people selling you beads and
yes, yes.
marijuana and like buy this man and this and that. So you have to get away from all that to finally get to more of the nice beaches and other
I
places. So
didn't
so
I didn't explore Bahamas
yeah,
as
and
much,
and and,
but
and in
I
Nassau,
did stay there, Nassau in
yeah.
general.
So
Yeah.
Nassau, and again, I mean, I'm used to traveling even before I was working on cruise ships. So I always liked to hear people say like, "Oh, that's a horrible port, that's a horrible country." I'm like, each country has something unique, even if you look for it, So some people just go to the touristy area, but if you just get away from that and you meet some locals, you get to see some of the most beautiful places that only locals know. So I was able to find this place through
Hmm.
that was actually from some crew members that have been there many times too, and they show me this place, and it's like a little boutique hotel with a beautiful pool. They used to have a cigar factory there, and I think they still do.
Oh.
So you just relax, you get food, and you come, and there's no guests. That's the
Yeah.
best thing, you know. There's
I don't
no
know. For
guests, and
mm,
it's very quiet, so very relaxing.
I don't know. For most of the ports, I would completely agree with you. But when it comes to Nassau and Bahamas, like I would stick to touristic places. I wouldn't drift
Well,
off
that's
anywhere like
right, right.
far.
No, and
Where
you always have to be smart about it too. I mean, I'm not gonna go down on a dark alley just to find something new or explore. This was like local people that told me, and of course, the main road to get there is where all the tourists are at. So you just take a little left at the end of the pier, and that's where you find it. So it's like a
but
10, 15 minute walk.
there
Yeah.
are many beautiful places in Nassau and in Bahamas. I never been to Atlantis. I never had the time off the
Hmm.
ship enough so I can go. But I've been there many times. My first ship was like 3 and 4 days cruise Bahamas, so we were like twice a week. I was in
Same,
Nassau.
same.
Yeah. So, but one on my second ship, I think, or on my third, I joined the ship in Nassau. So I got to stay in a hotel, beautiful casino hotel. I didn't even know it was like
Wow.
a rich area of Bahamas, of that island. It was like whole like I don't know, like Beverly Hills. I don't understand. It was just like villas and hotels and casinos and huge. It was beautiful. It was one
See,
of the
and that's
best
in
hotels.
Nassau.
That's an Asa, but that's touristic place. That's not local place, but it is. There are some rich areas and there's some very poor areas in there. It's very divided. But which can you name, like you've been on a ship for like 6 years and you changed so many ships? Can you name
Yeah,
like two
actually,
ports
in
which
in 5 years,
where you've been?
I actually was on 13 different ships.
Wow,
And but I never left the East Coast. I mean, I was always in the East. I only visited the Caribbean. So, like you mentioned, there's some ships that go
that's a
around the world.
bummer.
There's some that's about, they go out for a year and they go to literally every continent on the planet. But
Oh,
for the company I work with, they were mainly based in the U.S. They have some ships in Europe, but
right.
mainly in the U.S. that cater to American guests, so they only have it in American ports. So you either get the West Coast. The West Coast, I would say, would be probably the most coveted ship for any crew member to be on, because you either get the Mexican Riviera, which you go to like Cabo San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta, and Mazatlan, and
Yep.
sometimes you go to Hawaii. Then you have
Ensenada.
the ones in the north, Ensenada as well. Then you go to the north, and you might get lucky and go to Alaska, which is probably, from what I
Yes.
heard from many guests and crew, that it's one of the most beautiful cruises ever.
Have you
So I,
been?
I didn't get lucky. No, no, never, never. I plan to actually take a road trip eventually from here to Alaska, but that's in the future. But I never got
Oh,
any
you're
any
gonna
ship
hate me, and
outside
I
of the
love it.
U.S. Oh, I hate you. You're gonna tell me later. But all the ships I got for the most part, and remember, I live in Fort Lauderdale. So what
Mm-hmm.
was funny is that, and I didn't mind, was that I would tell them like, "Hey, listen, I live 10 minutes from the port. I don't need a hotel, because usually when you join a ship, they pay for your hotel. They like 2 or 3 nights sometimes, maybe one night." And I used to tell them like, "Listen, I can stay in my apartment, and I can just take a taxi to the hotel. I mean, to the ship." So they would send me to Miami, which is, about 30, 40 minutes away,
Mm-hmm.
and they would still put me up in a hotel. So I would check in, come home, and see my parents and eat with them. But then I started traveling a little bit more, because I went to, I believe, Puerto Rico. That's where we met. That I went to New
Mm.
Orleans. New Orleans. Where else did I go? Galveston, Texas. And then for my very last contract, I was transferred to the West Coast, and I finally got a chance to see the West Coast, but only from Long Beach. And I joined
Okay.
a ship that went to, on my last contract, actually, my last and fifth and final year. I was so lucky that I got the West Coast, so I got to see the Mexican Riviera, and coincidentally, I got a chance to go to Hawaii. It was a 14-day cruise, and I
Mm-hmm.
got to visit the amazing islands of Hawaii. So that was the best way to close a 5-year contract with the company.
Yep.
So I was lucky. But I would say in the U.S., like U.S. ports, my favorite by far, I would say number one would be New Orleans, just because New Orleans is one of my favorite cities in the U.S. And just
I
getting
never
there
been.
Sundays. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Just the culture, the food, the people, the music, the jazz. It's got a lot of history and a lot of
Everybody's
a lot
saying
of
that. Yeah.
culture. Yeah. Puerto Rico was also San Juan was also so
San
much
Juan.
fun. Especially that we were there from 8 in the morning till 10 p.m. Because it was a special port that people had to fly to, so they give it more time to join the ship. So just walking around and you dock and you have all the time in the world to actually get a chance to go out and explore that whole area as well. So that was also I would say my second favorite. And of course, nothing beats being close to home. So here in South Florida, I was able to like come see my family or friends and whatnot. But yeah, so that's basically Galveston was also pretty nice, but I didn't get a chance to go to ships like many crew members that they get a chance to go to a international cruise, or in Europe, that they go to all these amazing countries and whatnot. But like I said, I'm happy I was able to do that, and eventually maybe I'll go cruising on a cruise in Europe, or one of those river cruises they have in Europe. But
Oh,
what was yeah, like I
I.
said, like you mentioned, my first contract was the same as yours, 3 days to Nassau. Then I finally got on
Mhm.
another ship that went to Jamaica and to Cozumel, Mexico, and that's when they started getting better and better and better. And then I got to see pretty much all of the Caribbean, minus like probably 5 or 6 islands that I didn't get a chance to see, but I was able to see many of the
Aruba.
most beautiful islands ever. Aruba, Curacao, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, which gets confused. People confuse Dominican Republic, which is two complete different islands, different culture,
Hmm.
different history. But it was so
Saint
amazing. Saint
Lucia, Saint
Kitts, Saint
Kitts,
Thomas, Saint
Saint
Lucia. I
Thomas,
mean,
yeah,
we
Saint
the
Martin.
best. And you know what? And I'm sure you'll agree with me that where we met, the one out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, had the best itinerary that they had for that company in the U.S. because
Perfect, just
it was
perfect.
7 day cruise. It was a 7 day cruise, and it was 6 ports and one sea day. So imagine this: you leave San Juan, Puerto Rico at 10 p.m., and then the next day you go to St. Thomas, and then the next day you have a sea day
There
so you
was
can
no
relax.
sea days. There was no sea days. I don't
Yes, there
remember
was. There
sea
was.
days.
Yeah, there was. After
Okay,
after
let's count.
St.
Let's count
Thomas.
the ports. Let's count the ports.
Okay, so
Okay,
6 days. So San Juan,
Saint Juan,
St.
Saint
Thomas,
Thomas,
Sea Day, St. Barbados, where we picked up the British guest,
right?
Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, and St. Martin, and
Saint
then back
Martin.
to San Juan. So
Hmm.
7 days, 7 days, 6 ports, one sea day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I forgot that. Forgot about that
yeah.
sea day. I don't remember sea day. But oh
And
yes, that
nobody
was
did.
yeah, that
We
was the
were so
best.
drunk. We
One
were
of the
so drunk
best
that
ships.
it was a blur. It was a blur. Okay.
It was the best, one of the best ships and one of the best itineraries, and the one that you see the most. And but out of all these 7 days, I usually only went out in San Juan, in San Juan, which is one of my favorite cities ever, and I've been there many times, even before that ship, when I was on, on different working different job on the ship. I went there, and then that was like a weekly thing. It was amazing, and I had many first experiences there that were nice. We went for, during the Christmas period. We were there for like, I don't know, all day, and I went to the movies. We went to the mall.
Yeah, you
I've
had so
seen
much
the
time. Wow.
Star Wars premiere, Rogue, that Rogue movie. That was the I saw that in
Nerd.
San Juan. It was wow, that was experience. But yeah, I was lucky, and this is the first time, I have to say, this is the first. This is our sixth episode, and this is the first time I'm beating you in something, and this is it's port of calls that I finally feel superior
Oh,
to you.
so tell me. So how many
Well,
ships were you on?
oh, I've been, I don't remember, not many, maybe like same, like seven, eight, nine ships, something like that.
Uh-huh.
But yes, I was the first one. I don't count this, like 3 days, and then I went for my second one. I was this was also Caribbean thing, but that was Aruba, and it was much nicer itinerary.
Right.
And then for the third one was in Europe. I was with Princess
Wow.
Cruises, and I was Mediterranean cruise, 13 days, home port Venice, which is overnight home
You're
port.
kidding me.
So
Wow.
in Venice, we finish work, then you go out, go clubbing, and go all night long, and then you come back in the morning, and then you finish. And Venice is so expensive, but it's so beautiful. And then we went to Dubrovnik, which was amazing,
Wow.
and so many things. I didn't stay very long there, but because they were doing crossing, and I signed off before crossing back to winter time, they ships from Europe cross back to Caribbean. And
Oh, okay.
so
So were you part
so
of the crossing or you left before
I
that?
wasn't. I wasn't. I left before.
Ah,
And So yeah, Caribbean. My favorite Caribbeans was Saint Martin. I don't know why. Just Saint Martin was to me. I had my own bar that no one knew about, and the waiters knew me, and they set table for me, and it was the best, and it was the best experience, and I really really loved Saint Martin. It was such a nice place and good place,
oh
and I
yeah,
was so
yeah, because they
sorry
have
when I heard
the Dutch and
they.
the French side, which is amazing too.
Oh yeah, and you have that airport beach. Is it in Saint
Maho
Martin?
Beach.
Maho Beach, right, where
Yeah.
planes literally like fly over your head. It was fantastic. But then when I thought, oh, I was so lucky with the ships, my next assignment I get Long Beach, California, and that was the
Nice.
ship that you were talking about that goes to Mexico. And then from Mexico, I went to all these. What did you say? Ensenada and Mazatlan, Cabo San Lucas. But Puerto Vallarta
Puerto
is by
Vallarta, my
far
favorite.
favorite
It's
out of all the cities and towns I ever met. It is the
it's
magical.
amazing.
Oh, it is the most
And
beautiful
before
place
ships,
in
I
the
used to
world.
go there as a little kid because my parents used to vacation there because it's one of my favorite
Nice,
beaches. And
nice.
the difference between other beaches, like in Mexico, like say Cancun. I mean, it's so touristy and it's so full of like
Mm,
hotels that it doesn't feel like Mexico.
yeah,
But Puerto
yeah.
Vallarta kept its its uniqueness, and you still have the same. You have mariachis and like the food is fantastic. And you're in the
Everything
mountains.
is just
It's
amazing.
actually it's a jungle. In fact, the
It's the
mountains there.
jungle.
It's a jungle, believe it or not. So people think it's desert or whatever, but it's actually a jungle, and that's actually where they filmed the movie Predator with Arnold
Predator.
Schwarzenegger like many
Yep,
years ago. Yeah.
yep.
So there's a part there that you
I've
can
been
go and
there.
visit the
I've been
helicopter,
in the
the chopper.
jungle. I've
Get
been
to
in
the
the
chopper.
jungle.
Yeah, you were
Chopper.
there, right?
No, no, but we actually, but there's like in the middle of the jungle, because we have friends from the band on the ship. They were like from Puerto Vallarta, so they're like home
Oh,
port.
okay, locals,
Their home
locals,
port
locals.
was home port, and
That's the
so
best.
they would take us, and we would also stay very late in Puerto Vallarta up until
Right.
night evening. So we would go out, and they took us in all these places. I went to Sayulita. This is like a small village,
Oh my
like
gosh, I
our
know it. It's a
this is
hippie
all
town.
like all
Yeah.
hippies, all hippies. Even dogs are like high there on the street. It's amazing. It was amazing, and then like I never felt more relaxed than Sayulita. And then they took us in the jungle, and there's like in the middle of the jungle there's like a botanical garden, and
Wow.
there's like a small museum, and on top of that it's a restaurant. So we had lunch,
Wow.
and you see everywhere you look, it's like just ocean of trees. You see nothing but
Wow.
trees. It's like you in the middle of Brazil rainforest. It was
Uh-huh.
beautiful. It was just amazingly beautiful. Puerto Vallarta is by far my favorite. But then
Yeah.
that's not where the story finished. I was My ship was supposed to. That was the same ship you said that going 2 weeks in Hawaii. And as a child, ever since I know I was dreamed to go to Hawaii, and I never thought I would go there. And because when you, as a child living in Eastern Europe, when you're dreaming about exotic island, the first island comes to your mind is Hawaii. I mean,
Hawaii.
that's like the
Yeah.
king of all islands. And and my ship, and then I get transfer. I got from the office. You need to transfer because our ship was going to Alaska, and then in Alaska was supposed to, and then Hawaii, and then in Alaska was supposed to transfer to another ship. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna miss Hawaii. And but not to talk for too long, but I didn't miss. I with that second ship, I did transfer. With that second ship, I went to Hawaii. And
Wow.
but I have to say, many people will not agree with me, but I'm sure some will. That Alaska was like from a movie. Like I didn't expect
Oh
much
my
from
gosh.
Alaska, but I expect so much from Hawaii, and it was completely opposite. I was so not impressed with Hawaii, to be honest. We did few islands. We rent a car. We went to this Hana Road or something Road to
Haina,
Hana,
Haina,
Road to
Haina.
So we went there. We rent a car. It was nice. It's beautiful, but it's just. And I went to Waikiki Beach and all this, the golf courses, and it just so rich. And Hawaii, but Alaska, let me tell you, I mean, this is.
Blew your mind.
I've been to Ketchikan. I've been to there's three towns where I've been. Ketchikan, there was Juneau, which is
Juneau.
capital, and then there was one more. This not a town. This is
Anchorage. Anchorage.
no, no, it's not a town. It's like some wilderness. You just there's just boat and just forest there. There's no. It's like some
Oh,
museum
okay.
and there's no, but it's a wilderness. We actually get to see like above us on the tree. That bald eagle. How you say the
Wow.
American symbol,
Yep.
and it was just alive
The
right there
bald
above
eagle.
us. It's how do you call it? That
The bald
eagle?
eagle.
The bald eagle.
Bald
Yeah,
eagle. Yes.
and it was amazing, magical, really. The mountains, the air, it was everything was perfect. And my time there, because I stayed overnight in Alaska, because I was transferring
Wow.
ships. I even flew that small plane, that
Right.
like it was
Yeah.
such
The
a
the
tiny
the
plane from
seaplane. A seaplane.
from
Yeah.
yeah, from Juneau to Ketchikan, because I stay overnight in Juneau, and then I had to meet the ship in Ketchikan, but stay also overnight in Ketchikan. And I had the time to explore. It was so American. Like no America has this much American like Alaska. They have like those real diners, like from the movies. It was
Yeah.
really like I felt like I'm in a set of some movie.
A
Like
movie. Yeah.
there should gonna be some actors. So anyway, so that was Alaska. My impression, Ketchikan, the best, and Puerto Vallarta, Ketchikan. Then we went to that ship was going transferring during the winter to Australia, my friend, to
No
Sydney.
way.
Oh yeah,
Did you go?
oh yes, and on the
Oh
way
my
we
God.
stop in Hawaii for like 2 3 days. Then we
Jeez.
continue to Fiji, then Bora
Uh,
Bora Islands, which was
okay. You win. You
freaking
win. You win.
awesome.
Fiji. Fiji.
And then we land in many Pacific islands on the way, and then Sydney, which is like so again amazing that you dock like right across the Opera House, like
Opera House. Yes, I've seen the
you
pictures.
in the downtown, like the port. Usually ports are like outside of the cities or like
Right.
far
Exactly.
away.
Yeah.
No, Sydney is like in the middle of the city. Like you step from the port and like you're in the main street of Sydney. It's like it's just
Jesus.
right there. It's just right there. Everything's right there. It's so and Sydney is again so amazing, so amazing. Blown my mind. Like how modern and yet they still have this tradition, these old buildings and bridges and all these streets with cobblestones, and it was just fantastic. I never imagined city, and actually had to go and touch the opera house roof because I went to opera house, climb the steps, and then there's very many
Right.
tourists there. But I would always wonder on TV, like to me, the roof of Sydney Opera House looks like a metal, you know. But it's actually, do you know what it is?
What?
It's actually like a little like mosaic type, like squares, like concrete. It's like concrete, like
Oh,
bricks or something.
that just looks like metal, right?
It just looks because they're all same shape and size, and it's like all over, but it's very very tiny. It really looks like mosaic. So I had to actually touch it to feel the roof of Sydney Opera House. It's
Hmm.
amazing. So yeah, I would say Puerto Vallarta, Ketchikan, Alaska, my second, and Sydney was my third one. Maybe Saint Martin in Caribbean and San Juan, of course. Those are my five cities that one day I really, if I ever can afford, one day I'm gonna go back to all these five cities. i want to
Yes.
i want to visit
Yeah, I would
Alaska
love to
one more
go to all
time.
the yeah.
But Hawaii, no, like I have no desire anymore for Hawaii.
I
Like
liked it.
really,
I mean, but
I just like
expensive though.
Alaska also very expensive. Most of the
But you know
US
what's
ports are.
interesting, and that's something also,
Oh,
that people don't
Vancouver,
know as well.
Vancouver. I'm sorry. Oh,
Oh, okay,
Vancouver,
Canada.
Canada. Oh, Vancouver is so beautiful. On the way from Alaska, we stopped in Vancouver. Vancouver, sorry.
Yeah,
It
and like
was
I was saying,
amazing.
like you mentioned, for you coming from Eastern Europe, it's seeing some real American cities and places, you get a different perspective from what you see on TV or on the news for
Oh
that
yeah.
matter. So it's a first time and a way for people from other countries, nationalities to see and experience that as well. Like you say, travel. I mean, although many experiences may vary, like they said, because some people don't get a chance to go outside and travel, and I mean, even though they travel, they don't get a chance to do the work to see some of these amazing ports, which is sad, but I mean, it's your job, right? So it's kind of like you're lucky if you're able to get off, but for the most
Mm.
part,
Is there
Some
any
people don't
interesting?
get a chance to
Is there
explore.
any interesting story you want to share, like specific story about some experience in some place, some of these places?
I mean, as far as going out to some of these ports, I mean, in every port, I mean, you make friends, and well, the unique experience is that, like you mentioned, you had some friends in Puerto Vallarta, so because
Yeah.
you have such an international group of people on the ship, some crew members, and as we were talking about how people want to request the ship that has the best itineraries or whatnot, many of this crew members they like to go to a port that they have family members. So, for example, the Caribbean we had a lot of people from San Lucia that would and whenever we docked in San Lucia, they were
Mm,
able to go to their
true.
families, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Latin America, the cruise lines that go to Latin America as well, and in Europe for that
Oh,
matter too, because I mean, you talking about, you're on a ship out of Europe and you have so many, like you say, you went to Dubrovnik, so there's a lot of Croatian crew members that, of
yeah.
course,
It
there's
felt very
nothing
good, very good.
there's nothing like going to these countries and you have friends that are from there. They're like, "Hey, let's go to my mom's house and she's gonna cook an authentic dinner." I myself, for example, when I finally got a ship out of Fort Lauderdale, I would come home like in 5 minutes and I would bring some crew members and take them out and they would come and eat, with my family. They're like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm actually like outside," but because for the most part they can just go outside and just walk around near the ship, but I would take them home and have like real authentic food, well, not authentic, but I mean, I'm saying like, just being able to stay
Home
outside
cooked,
of the
yeah.
tourist area, but a home cooked meal is a big difference. So, lucky for many of us that we would go to these islands that we would have somebody, "Hey, Johnny, you're from here. Where should we go?" And they would show us like all these places. But again, some places that, obviously there's not many local people from there that, for example, you went to the Polynesian Islands and I mean, you got to see some places that are unaffordable for many of us
Oh
to
yeah.
to travel
I've
to.
been
So
I've
for
been
me,
to
for example, was
Tasmania.
Hawaii.
I
I've
mm,
always wanted to go to Hawaii, but it was too expensive. Even especially from Florida
I
all the way to
bet.
Hawaii, it was expensive, and even in Hawaii, it's super expensive. I mean, I think I spent an entire 2 week salary when we went to Hawaii because 4 days, and I didn't care how much it cost. I was like, okay, I'll do it, and
I spent
it,
all
it
of
was
it.
amazing.
Alaska, Hawaii. I spent
I
like
bet.
I by the time I went and there was Fiji and all these Bora Bora Island, we went to this Hilton hotel, the one those little houses and on the we rent for a
Yes.
day and things. And it was like I came to Sydney, like I had to borrow like $200 just to get to my paycheck because all and that was like my month five on the ships. Like I had five paychecks by that point
Yeah.
and then spent everything in Alaska and in Hawaii and all these islands. But I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot. Like my one of my favorite places. I don't know why I forgot about that. It's Key West. Key West to me is very
Oh yeah.
special. I just
It's amazing.
love that place. It's
It's our
amazing.
Caribbean, it's like the US, like the mainland, it's the southernmost point of the United States. So
Yep.
and I used to go there like almost once every month, with when I used to work for a hotel, so I used to go down there and you just feel like all your worries away. It's like you said,
Yes.
it's a Caribbean style, even though it's still
Mm-hmm.
like connected to the US for that matter, even though it's islands, but it's still connected. But it's the southernmost part of the United States you can get to, just like Alaska's the northernmost part
Northern. Yeah. Yeah.
here in Key West. I mean, as soon as you get there, it's just like this whole Caribbean, like nothing matters. Everybody's laid back, and the food is amazing. A lot of
The
Cuban and
food.
Bahamian
Oh, the
influence.
food. I love
Yeah, because it's
Mexican
so
food. Don't
Caribbean
get me
influence.
wrong.
Yeah.
I love
Hmm.
Mexican food, but American fast food on Key West it's just so delicious. I mean the burgers and the
Yeah,
fries you get like you can feed
yeah.
like five people and it's all for you.
Fritters,
And it's all for you and just like toppings and toppings
key lime pie, key lime
oh, key
pie.
lime pie. They have
Yeah,
festival there for key lime pie and like I was
yeah.
there one time for festival and the ice creams and everything is just so wonderful. One of my favorite Key West, of course, always like I have to say top five. It's hard to have top five, but Key West must be there also. It's just so
Yeah.
many, so many, so many cities. So these are our adventures. Like I'm sure we missed a lot, and there's
Oh,
many
absolutely.
stories,
And we'll have
and
some other people to talk about some like amazing
absolutely,
stories in some of these sports because not only that, I mean, so once we start getting some people to talk about some crazy experience, like for example, you know, dangerous ports that we have some adventures that sometimes some people don't come back, that that get
Yes,
lost, they get in trouble, or
I
they
almost got lost on Key West. So, but this is a story for another time.
it's
But I
a
will tell you,
it's
it
such a
was a
small
panic
island. How can you get lost in Key
because it
West?
every street looks the
See, there you
same,
go.
and I
That's a
cannot
tourist.
find the
That's a
ship. And
tourist for you right there.
it was my first time out alone, and it was like I would start panicking, my heart start beating because I know ship is not going to wait for me, and I
What?
cannot find the way to the ship. Like every corner I turn, I find myself in the same place, like going in circles. I was like so panicking, it was
Yeah.
terrible.
We
But
all I think
yeah,
every crew member at a point, and I guess guests too, but I mean, I guess crew members knowing that we should have more experience.
yeah,
We always had that little mini heart attack that like, oh my gosh, I'm
oh
late.
yes,
That ship is gonna leave me. And of course, I mean, unlike guests, we're gonna get a
you're gonna
nice
lose your
warning
job.
if you're gonna lose your job, or you better have a good excuse. Which we'll talk about some of that on another episode because
Oh
I don't know
yes.
if it was you that told me. Oh yes, you told me one of the best stories about two crew members that pretended they got robbed or jumped in one of the ports to not get fired. But we'll talk about that later
No, I don't
in
think
another
I told you
episode.
that, but I'm very eager to hear that.
Oh, it's an amazing story,
Oh,
and you're
okay,
gonna
okay. We're
it's
gonna share.
hilarious.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
You
all
told
right,
me next
perfect.
time.
All
So
right, and
yes,
the next one,
this is it, guys, for this episode. I hope we mentioned we intrigued you with some beautiful cities that you want to visit, or even if you're not on a cruise ship, working on a cruise ship, maybe you just like want to cruise, or if you're a crew member that you can request one of these ports to go there. It's totally worth it, and it's so amazing, and the world is just amazing to see if you ever get a chance. And we were
explore
lucky,
it.
right, Jimmy?
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah, it
We are
was a
very
great
lucky.
experience.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, stay tuned, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode of Ship Happens.
Take care.